KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack.
And let me tell you, good morning, everybody.
No
How's
more
everyone
coffee
doing?
for Joe over here.
That's my
Exactly. Beautiful morning, great day.
I come in here, get all hopped up on donuts and coffee. Go home and have a sugar crash.
I think there's something else you get hopped up on, but it's radio right now, so we got to keep it clean.
Chris and Joe, we got a lot of people. They actually chased people out of the studios. We had so many people here.
They
today.
did actually.
Yes.
They asked us to remove a few, which is always not a bad thing because we have such a packed show today. We're going to be talking about new versus resale. Let me tell you, it's a great subject matter. We got some great guests in studio today. We're going to start off by one of our great sponsors that we actually have. We have Capital Title in the house and representing Phillip Scalise. Phillip, how you doing there, buddy?
Jump over here and say hello.
I'm good, Chris. How you doing this morning?
Man, I am doing very good. Let us know a little bit about Capital Title if you don't mind.
Capital Title, actually, we're the largest independently owned title company in Texas. We have over 52 locations throughout the state, and we have 5 locations throughout the Houston area, and obviously we're here to serve. So.
Oh, I can imagine. The other thing that you guys have, and let me tell you, you got some of the most beautiful facilities I've ever seen that you are opening up all around Houston, and one of the people who can actually vouch for how good those facilities are actually a guest that you brought on today. Can you introduce them for me?
I did. I brought Doug Erdy with Keller Williams Realty from Northeast Houston. Doug, how you doing, man?
Great. Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
And we're excited to have you on. Doug is a well-known top producer in the Kingwood area, so we're extremely excited to have him on. And so today we're going to talk about resale versus new home sales. Now, Doug, you do both, do you not?
Do both. We love selling new and resale.
And so when you are first getting a buyer client, and they're saying, you know what, I'm equivocating. I don't know if I should go the resale route or go the new home route. How do you kind of get them through that process as to which direction to head?
Well, you really got to find out what's in their head. If they're wanting a low-maintenance home, they don't want a lot of issues with repairs and so forth, we try to steer them to a newer home. A lot of folks have that mindset that they want to avoid anything that could go wrong with them.
So they want something that has some existing warranties and things of that nature that they can say, you know what, we don't nothing's going to be perfect, but we have something to fall back on.
Yes.
And so you might take them to a new home, like our other sponsor, Ian, who just happens to be in the room too.
Shameless plug.
Well, it's a very shameless
we're
plug.
going to give more shameless plugs during the thing.
I have a question just to jump in on this. We were talking about this on the way up in the elevator. So not everybody was privy to this conversation. But there was a book out there that I read a good while back by Thomas J. Stanley, called The Millionaire Mind. And it talks about the makeup of what the average millionaire looks like in America and that type of thing. And it's very different from what the average person would think about. They don't live the lavish lifestyle that a lot of people assume or connect with being a millionaire.
Right.
And one of the things that they identified relevant to this show, new versus resale, was that the average millionaire doesn't purchase in the new home. No offense, Kian. They purchase in well-established neighborhoods that have predictable growth rates and that type of thing. But one of the things I was curious about from a Houston standpoint is that, which may be a little bit different now with what's going on in the market here in Houston, is, there's been explosive growth in other markets in California and Florida and all those types of things where we saw the 20 and 30% increase year over year to the value of the home. And that traditionally hasn't been Houston. That we've had a much more low but stable kind of growth rate. And there's pockets in Houston, that type of thing. But is that more, do you see that? That's, as an expert in the subject here in real estate, do you see people that make those kind of decisions or are looking at, from an investment standpoint, not necessarily buying an investment property, but just their own home? Does that ever come up on the radar when they're looking at purchasing? They're saying, well, what's the growth rate been in this area, that type of thing?
Oh, yeah. Most buyers, we like to think that they are in it for 5 to 6 years. The average person moves every 5 or 6 years. So we're thinking that at least we can get 3 to 4% appreciation every year over that time period. And in Houston, we've always seen very, very slow growth, but we don't see the downturns like the rest of the country.
We never had a bubble burst because we never had a bubble.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And one of the things to speak about what Joe's speaking with, I mean, Doug, you're up in the Kingwood area. I think it bodes very well with what you were talking. Kingwood is a nice established community. It has a lot of neat areas up there. I mean, you've got your new sell areas, right? You've got the Oakhurst and you've got Eagle Springs, but you also have Kingwood proper and some of the established areas. What are, let's take it down from a micro perspective. What are some of the things that you're seeing in that area and how people are defining their buying patterns right now?
Well, we go right to Exxon. Exxon is creating a buying frenzy throughout Kingwood and the Woodlands area. Right now, you can't find a home in the Woodlands.
It's their fault.
Yeah.
Evil oil companies.
Yeah.
Once
Now
again-
we've isolated it.
Yeah, it's it goes right back to the oil industry, and there's just all the suppliers that are coming in that are following Exxon. You can't find a home in the Woodlands, so they're going right to Kingwood and Eagle Springs and the Atascocita area. So we're getting that spillover effect that's just creating a great buying opportunity and a great selling opportunity as well.
And and you mentioned obviously ExxonMobil. They're going to continue to build obviously the Grand Parkway, which is going to be a very easy commute. In the future, but it's not that bad right now. I mean, right now, literally speaking, you can get to the Woodlands in a matter of 20 minutes, through a nice back road that gets you there with relatively ease.
I want the Houston police to be aware of that. We are 45 minutes from Woodlands right here, and he can make it in 20. So you might be looking out for a little,
Oh, trust me, I've got no problem with that.
I almost don't want to, it's like 59 is the best kept secret in Houston. It's an awesome freeway. Compared to every other major freeway out there, it's the best. So it's like I don't even want to talk about the good traffic going out there to Humboldt Kingwood area. It's terrible. Nobody moves out there. It's terrible.
Now, Doug,
Yeah, I'm sure your Sugarland people will think opposite of that, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, Doug, you deal with a lot of people coming in from out of the city, and they're coming into town, and you were talking about Exxon, but I'm sure there's people from all over the country coming in, and they decide Kingwood is an area they want to be. And how do you counsel them when you have to explain to them that you see a resale, you can make an offer on it today?
Yeah.
And make an offer maybe over list. I mean, tell me how that conversation goes.
If you wait a day, you're too late. We're seeing multiple offers on homes that we've never seen like this in Houston in 30 years. If you see something you like, your agent shows you a home, 2 or 3 homes, and you like one of them really a lot, and you better jump on it. Make a good offer on it. Don't try to lowball it.
Now you do a lot of listing, and you even mentioned to me the other day that you try to keep 100 listings on hand, but you're not even able to do that right now.
Mm-mm. No, we normally carry 70 to 100 listings, and we're right now at 40. So we're half of our inventory. We need more sellers.
And and I think that's very interesting. On the new versus resale model that we're talking about right now. I mean, one of the things that we've been seeing is there's a lack of inventory. I mean, if you look at the national numbers here in Houston via HAR, I think we have less than 3 months worth of inventory.
3.5 if you take the overall city, but you get into Katy and areas like that, it's
less
under
than a
1
month.
month.
That is correct. It's less than a month. So, you start looking at stuff like that, and we always preach here is if you're looking, right now we're in the summertime, if you're looking at putting your home on the market, if you're looking at selling or relocating or moving, now is the time to do it. Now is definitely the time to get with somebody like Doug Erdy, with Doug Erdy team, and get that home listed on the market, because let me tell you, it's a hot market, multiple listings, great opportunity to take advantage of that.
And that's a great segue into a question I've been thinking about, is that they go buy a new Guillen home, and it's maybe in just the dirt stage or maybe even the slab stage, and then you go to put their home on the market, and they sell it in 3 hours.
Yeah.
And the people who are buying it want to close in 45 days. What do you tell them?
Well, we try to find them a temporary living of an apartment, or it's a good problem to have, though. That's great.
That's good.
I always think it's a really good problem to have, because it used to be the concern was a couple of years ago is, I wonder if I can sell my home on time to get into my new home that I'm building. And now the new consensus is, I've got to move somewhere. I've got to move twice. But you know what? There's worse things to have in life than moving twice, especially in the real estate market.
Yeah. Now, when you're taking out and showing new construction, are you finding available inventory? You're still having some shortages there as well that you're seeing?
We're seeing a lot of shortages. The builders just can't build enough right now for us. And really, the bigger question is the builders can't find the lots or the land to build the lots on. The land is just really restricted right now in Houston with availability. So I think there's a lot of builders that would love to build more lots, but they just can't find the land.
No, I would absolutely agree. You know, one of the things, in fact, that we knew this was coming a little while back was whenever the boom hit or the bubble hit in 2008, all of a sudden the developers didn't buy as much land in 2009, 2010, 2011. And it takes years to develop these subdivisions, especially to start getting them platted out and get the roads in, et cetera.
A lot of it had to do with financing as well, because they couldn't get money from the banks anymore. No
That is
banks
correct.
all of a sudden started, not doing projects, and even though they were getting stimulus money, they weren't putting it out into to the community. So they're putting it into other passive investments. So what happens is we have, I saw this happen in the 80s, where we didn't build for a good period of time, and then when things turned around, there was nothing. And I think we're seeing the same thing. This is not. I've never seen it this short of inventory in my 32 years ever. And
Wow.
And Doug, how long have you been in the business?
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
So you've seen a couple of cycles too.
Yep.
And have you ever seen anything quite like this?
Never. We love it, though.
There's nothing really to complain about, right?
No.
Well, I mean, it really. Somebody posed the question to me here recently that I don't think it's ever been considered in Houston. With the, we went through this whole boom cycle, and it was created for a different reason. But with the whole 2005 to that range time frame with the no doc loans and all this sort of thing, it was entry point was a lot easier, which I think falsely created a boom. But
Right.
Somebody said, are we worried about repeating that with the prices being driven up because of the demand so quickly? I don't think that's ever been considered here in Houston, that we've had that kind of an issue where, you're getting offers. We had a realtor on the show that said that they listed a house and had 60-something showings over the weekend. Just put it on the market and had 60-something showings over the weekend. That's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, and that brings up something else when you talk about the bubble, because what you're saying, Doug, is that you're getting probably offers on your listings that are over list price. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're getting offers that are well above it.
And this is happening over and over again. And Chris, I know you're seeing this in your application and stuff. The appraisals aren't getting there, and that's something you won't probably deal with new construction, is the appraisal, because they've already got some established prices in there.
Well, and you're right. The appraisals are still, it's one of the things. Fortunately, we're in Houston. The appraisal you still have to deal with when you're buying a home. It's sort of that mechanism to keep the market honest, is what I tell everybody. Now, a lot of times, don't get me wrong, we all don't like the appraisals come back. We all have a reason why we want the value to be higher, right? But at the same time, the appraisers have to abide by a certain market standard. They have to go by certain rules to be able to measure and monitor what that market value is. And then more importantly is individuals like myself and Doug and you, et cetera, can't have communication with that appraiser to influence that appraisal anymore. So it's really sort of a third-party, honest opinion of value that's being put out there. And that's sort of what is keeping some people from bidding some prices which are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, well, but I've seen some deals. Have you had some deals fall out because of appraisals?
We've had a few, not that many, what you'd think, but yeah, we've seen a few.
I've heard so many people saying that here's the appraisal and here's the offer over it, and they're just paying $30,000
putting more
cash.
down.
Here you go.
Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Doug, one question I was going to ask you, and especially since we're coming against time right now, how can we reach you and your team?
The best way is go to the internet, our website, DougErdy.com. That's our amazing website that we have, and
it is very good.
Yeah, it's just DougErdy.com.
And that is DOUGERDY, DougErdy.com. You can also reach him at 832-265-1954.
Yes, that's correct.
Give them a call, especially if you're out there in the Kingwood area. And one other thing really fast, Doug, let us know how much you like closing at Capital Title, if you don't mind.
We love it.
Yes,
Hey,
shameless plug.
Phillip is awesome. His staff and the facilities are amazing. So
Well, just to reiterate, that we always have a lot of fun on the show. We're silly, but we bring experts on here, and it's not a coincidence that we bring on the top guy from my side of town here,
There you
Mr.
go.
Doug Erdy, but he works with the people that we have in the studio here. It's always a testimony to that quality. So we got to hit a break. We're going to be right back shortly here. Give us a call, 800-808-5548. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. We want to hear from you, so if you're out there and you got a question in regards to new versus resale, give us a call, 800-808-5548. We're here to take your calls live. You know, I'll fake the answer, but Joe, he's the real expert right here. He will actually...
yes. Hey, what's fun is that this show was a topic that was posted by one of our listeners on our Facebook page.
Yes.
So just to let you guys know out there, we do very much interact with the listeners and our friends on Facebook. So you want to check us out on our Facebook page. You can go to facebook.com/Real Estate Rat Pack. And you'll catch up with all the latest stuff. We post our shows on there. If you're ever wondering where to find somebody that's been on the show in the past, you just hop on our page and look us up there. And we keep all of our past show audio there, as well as pictures and a lot of fun stuff that we do. So definitely jump on if you have a topic of conversation you would like to hear us chat about. If it's something that sounds really interesting to us, we'll definitely do it.
And we do listen,
This
as we
is
say.
one of those shows.
I would agree, and we absolutely listen to it. Speaking of new versus resale, we have Gian in the house right now. And let me tell you, Gian is a great builder. Has been a great sponsor of ours since we actually started the show.
Yep.
And, great builder, especially if you're out there looking for a new home. We have a lot of stuff to talk about in regards to new homes. And, first I'm going to start off by introducing Rhett Molina. He's with Gian Homes, and he's over in League City, Westover Park, if I'm not mistaken. Rhett, how you doing?
Great, Chris. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Let us know a little bit about Gian Homes, if you don't mind.
Well, Geen Homes has been in business for about 25 years. We're one of the largest privately held builders in the nation. Not only that, but we're the fastest growing builder in the nation. And we also received an award for Best Home Builder in Texas.
Wow.
Recently.
Very nice.
Very nice. And let me tell you, and you build a really solid home out there. Really solid home. One of the things that we're talking about today is, if an individual's out there, why buy a new home? And more importantly is why buy Gian? What really separates you apart? But also, why is it important to know what a new home brings to a family who's looking at getting into a new property?
There's tons of reasons, Chris. But my first question back to you is, why would you buy a used home?
Oh, they're not used homes. I'm sorry. They are resales.
I'm not wearing a used suit.
Oh, goodness.
25,000 realtors just hung up.
No, I'm just playing around.
There's pros and cons on all sides, no doubt about it. And in my own experience, I get frustrated with every summer with my AC situation and my 78 degrees in the house.
Kim, this is where we can get that plug for that new home.
Yes.
And Gian has some out there in the Kingwood area.
Yes, they're working me over here, baby. The wife is listening, y'all, so please don't sell too hard on the new home.
Well, Miss Orsak, you can find a new Gian home near you. But
you guys do build a nice house.
Thanks,
you really
Joe.
do.
And
I'm not just saying that. I get to go out to a lot of different builders and doing events and that type of stuff. And y'all genuinely do build a good house.
Thanks, Joe. And you bring up a good point about your AC maybe struggling or having to replace it or fix it or repair it, whatever the situation. Well, with a new home, you get a warranty, and your air conditioning system is warranted. And so
I have the single pane windows. I have, I probably have R2 insulation.
BC.
Yes.
They just laid some straw in the attic. And
Doug is still in the studio, but we'd be happy to list that home for you.
Yes.
And we disclose.
We were talking about getting more listings, and you're up in Kingwood, Doug's up in hey, that's a match made in heaven right there.
Yes, I think we got it. So.
Yeah.
In 2009 they changed the rules and regulations on how a new home was going to be built as far as energy efficiency goes, and they upped the ante by 17% to increase the energy efficiency of the homes. So if you're in a home, that's quite a bit of savings. We can turn that into some dollar savings. Figure that out really easy.
It's definitely a consideration. I mean, absolutely. And it wasn't as much for me. The first house I bought, I didn't have that firsthand experience with it. Looking at the pain, so to speak, and nothing against the realtor I had at the time, because it wasn't Doug, and I know Doug probably does this stuff. See, so that's the high quality there. But more on the education side of some of the pains you experience with an older home and all that sort of thing. It was just hey, I like the way the house looked, and there we go. that was never on the table of discussion of here's the things you need to consider in buying a new versus resale. So it's great when you guys get to a new customer that's walking through the doors, you can educate them on the energy efficiency and all that sort of thing of the new home, and that's a huge deciding factor these days, I would think, in the no surprise costs after you purchase the home.
Well, the other thing I tell everybody is, the new versus resale is very interesting because if we were all the same and all bought the same, it'd be a very boring market out there, right? And so, it's one of those things I've always told everybody is the new versus resale is more dependent upon what that client's preferential area might be to buy in, because a lot of times you're not able to buy new in an area in which it's well established. You want the established trees. You want the established education. You want the established thing that maybe the enhancements that pre-sale or pre-owned home came with. On the newer side of things, though, sometimes you want the newer community. You want the amenities that are being put into the new communities. You want the energy efficiencies in the new homes. You want to start your home fresh and not have anybody else touch it. So, it's not that there's a good or a bad on either which one. It's truly a matter of preference as to what one is looking for to get into their new home. And when I say new home, it can be either a resale or a truly new home.
I think Doug and Rhett will agree with this. People are not really just looking for homes; they're looking for lifestyles now.
Right.
It's a whole different approach. It's actually bringing the family back together because they recreate and they'll hang out close to home now. Are you finding that to be true in a lot of your subdivisions? That's
absolutely right, Rob. The great thing about buying Guillen, a brand new home, is that we really allow you to customize the home and we really build it for today's family. There are a lot of different examples of that. We allow you to really customize it. You want a beautiful facade on the home? Come to Guillen Homes. Believe me, we updated the front facade or elevations of our designs just about a year and a half ago. The heads of the company all got together and decided that we didn't want to look like everybody else. We wanted to be fresh and new and special. We want you to come home and feel special about your home. We don't want it to look like the house next door. So we really have updated the designs and really allow you to customize. And we're really known for our design and quality. And when I say design, if you want a swooping roof line or maybe masculine arches in the front or oversized living rooms where you can really hang out with your family and have a great time, where he's in the kitchen cooking and the wife is on the couch, calling for a soda or whatever like that, where you can really enjoy time with your family. And that people are really buying that, really loving that.
And Doug and Red, either one of you can answer this question, is that what amenities and lifestyle things are they looking for in a home?
Some of the amenities you're looking for, Rob?
Wait a minute, they come in, they want outdoor kitchens, or they want, what are they looking for when they come in that's going to make it uniquely there?
Actually, that's a fantastic question because when you come into our new model homes, something that we're really showing is an outdoor kitchen. And in fact, quick plug, one of our special incentives right now is an outdoor kitchen.
I thought you were going to say that you were grilling steaks and we were invited.
I thought that would be a great incentive right there.
That would be great. What a nice promotion.
Come on this weekend. We're putting some T-bones on the grill.
On the Gans.
Certainly, anytime, come by. But yeah, we offer a grill outside under a covered patio where you can be there cooking up a T-bone steak and your friends and family are waiting with their mouths watering while they're playing games in the backyard, having a great time there at your new home under the shade from the sun.
What about entertainment type venues? I know a lot of people like that media room and things like that. Are they asking for that quite a bit right now?
Rob, can y'all please come down to my model in League City?
Well, actually, I've been to Guillen Homes and I know what they have, but I'm just asking you loaded questions right now.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that.
The truth comes out.
Thanks,
It's
Rob. I
almost like
appreciate
we're
that.
professionals.
You make me look like a star. But if you come visit one of our model homes, I could definitely speak for mine in League City at Westover Park. We have a media room downstairs that'll blow your socks off. And when you come by, I'll demonstrate it for you, where I typically put in a musical DVD and crank it up to about 75%. And it's just like a movie theater.
Now, what if you're in sandals?
Well, gorilla feet that you have.
Well, some people do wear socks with their sandals. Yeah.
So it's just out of curiosity, from a demand standpoint, is one of the chief things that people are looking at? I mean, I know it's always been kitchens and master baths and that type of thing. is one of the things that you guys are seeing from a demand standpoint with the new client, new walk-in, the outdoor kitchen?
People are really enjoying that. People are really loving that idea. They like to spend
Doug,
time
you
outside.
seeing that as well?
Yeah, the big thing right now is more room in the family room and the kitchen. They want to take away the square footage out of the master bedroom, make the bedroom smaller. People want the living areas large, and
that's where the family hangs out.
And that's where the family's coming back into. You know, we're seeing those open spaces. You know, they're trying, and also one of the things we're seeing a lot is extensions to open those areas to have greater covered patios, because individuals, not only for the outdoor kitchen, but Houston is a very neat place, except when it's 120 degrees outside in the shade. It's a very neat place most of the time to be outside enjoying and congregating with family and friends and loved ones and individuals. And so, one of the things that we are seeing is a lot of growth in those areas.
It's kind of a neat question because when we bought the house, our living room was a very nice big open area, and that was one of the big deciding factors for us was that living area. Our back porch, unfortunately, was like a 10 by 10 little piece of cement that you couldn't fit anything on, so had to expand that, and I still have that project going on. It's interesting for me to see from a new home sale standpoint. Well, I know we are coming up against a break here. Tell us how we can get a hold of you guys. I mean, first of all, Guillen's on our website, and they've been great sponsors. But specifically, how can we get a hold of you?
Well, if you go to GuillenHomes.com, that's spelled like Gehan, Gehan, homes.com. You can visit any one of our approximately 20 communities throughout the nation. We're in the north, south, east, and west. So come by and visit a model home near you. Thank you.
Well, and that's Guillen Homes, great sponsor, great individuals. Thanks a lot for being on board today. We're coming up against a break right now, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Warm, cold water flat with room for a couple of cinders.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. Man, this is way too much fun for a Saturday, let me tell you.
I love that intro.
We're live now.
The crew is taking your calls.
Which we are, actually.
We are.
800-808-5548. Give us a call. One of the things we're talking about in the break just now is we're sort of transition. We started off with Doug Erdy, who's still here in the studio, Doug Erdy in the house. And, then we went over to Guillen Homes. And now we're actually going to be talking about a couple things in regards to new versus resale, starting off with, obviously, some of the inspection side of things.
Yeah.
And, it's very important. In fact, I want Doug to really fast chime in on this. How important is it to get a home inspection on a new and or a resale home?
It's by far the most important aspect of the purchase. If it's a new home or a resale, the inspection is the most important item, by far.
A lot of times you wouldn't think, it's a brand new home. What am I having inspected?
Right, and and that's not the case. You need to have a home inspection, whether it be new
the builder
or resale.
does
Oh my gosh! Can't believe you just
That's
said
the
that.
inspector passed out over here.
The inspector's now. Yeah, we can't get him on the air right now.
Wake
He just
him up. Give
passed
him some
out with what
salt.
you said. But introduce our guest right there because we have
Absolutely.
a great home inspector.
Well, you know what? We have a brand new sponsor on the show, and he's been a guest of the show before. We brought him on long before he was a sponsor. We brought him on as an expert because he's somebody that we've always liked. He hangs out with us. He's one of our cigar group, mastermind groups. We always hang out with talent. The Rat Pack hangs out with talent, baby. So we are introducing a brand new sponsor today. They're going to be up on our website, logo, and all that sort of thing, so you'll know where to find them. But we're bringing in Ashley Boweles today. Ashley, say hello to everybody out there. Come on up. We got to share mics over here. We got too many people in the studio.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. This is Ashley Boweles with A.B. Boweles Home Inspections. I wanted to start off, we're talking about new homes and old homes. So
Resales, they are not
resale.
old homes.
Okay, resale homes. Resale. Well, for instance, yesterday I did a brand new house. When I'm doing the inspection, I went outside, took a look at the AC unit. Sure enough, it's a solid block of ice. It just wasn't working. So
it was not a Guillen home, though. I want you to know that right now. Yes. So let's talk about, Ashley, briefly about, okay, we put a contract on a house to be built. The slab hadn't even poured yet. Tell us how you inspect those homes and in what phases that you inspect those homes.
Well, when you go out to do a pre-concrete or pre-pour, things you're looking for is you're looking for different aspects about where the grade beams are, whether or not it's a post-tension slab. If you have post-tension cables going underneath your plumbing, after they do the pour, you're not going to see it. They tension them. And what can happen is you could possibly break your main sewer lines underneath the house. Some of your plumbing can be damaged. You also have to check and make sure that there's the proper moisture barrier underneath. And that protects moisture from coming up inside your concrete. So if you don't have it there and moisture gets in comes up through the concrete, you could possibly start getting mold underneath your floors and not even know it.
Yeah, we don't have enough to worry about here in Houston, Texas.
Right.
Let's have to worry about that, too. So how many phases during construction, and tell me exactly what the delineating phases are in inspections?
Typically, we go in, it's a pre-pour, pre-concrete inspection is your first. Then we like to come back, and it's a pre-sheetrock. So you go in, check out the framing and the structure of the actual house. Make sure that things are where they're supposed to be. Electrical is ran properly, that it has the staples, and it's protected. Same with the plumbing. You don't want to have your pipes too close to the front of the stud, and then when you're driving your sheetrock screws in and hanging your sheetrock, well, you punch a hole in your plumbing line. Well, it kind of seals for a little while. And then all of a sudden...
Until you buy the house.
That's right, until you buy the house.
And run water through it.
But eventually that screw will rust, and then you have a leak inside your house, and you're trying to figure out what happened, because they are supposed to put a protective plate on the stud. And then the final inspection is the final, just before you walk or just after you walk, go in, we test all the systems, all your mechanical systems, AC, electrical, lighting, different appliances, make sure all the windows are functioning and everything is the way it's supposed to. And that's about it.
I'm going to tell you something. It's pretty interesting listening to you talk right here, because the one thing that happens in a real estate transaction, I hear it all the time, my realtor's out there, and Rob, you know what? You know, I know after the show, by the way, your next big thing is resale versus old.
They're not old.
But one of the things, the two biggest things my realtors are always telling me is, let's just get past two things, the appraisal and the inspection.
Well, we don't have to worry about
that. Right, Doug? Am I not lying
on that? We don't have
that?
to worry about the appraisal if it doesn't get through inspections.
That is
right
correct.
now.
And so, that's what I was going to say is, one of the things that real estate depends upon is a good inspection. And, and one of the things, the reason why, for two reasons. If you are representing a buyer from a realtor perspective, you want to make sure that home has everything that's required based on the price you're paying for. And if you are selling that property and you happen to be the listing agent, you want to make sure that you're going to get the most amount of value and that the home has not a lot of deferred maintenance to be able to sell it for the maximum value. So it's a very important step in that process.
And a great inspector is very important. And a lot of people think, well, realtors don't want you to find things. I want someone to find everything that's wrong with this house. And I actually have a little 30-minute elevator speech about there's not going to be a perfect home. And when the inspector writes the report, it is not going to be a love sonnet. It's going to make it sound like the house is falling down. Is that pretty much what you're finding out there? You want them to find out?
Yeah, you want a very detailed report, and a lot of folks think that it's going to bust out or the deal's going to fall through, but 99% of the deals always stay together, even though there are repairs being made.
Well, that's one thing I'm waiting to find is the perfect house.
Have you found one yet?
You haven't found it yet?
Not yet.
That from a buying standpoint, I was shocked the first time I saw the home inspection report. You kind of have that, oh my God, should I buy this house?
This house is falling down.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say, and it's, I had the inspector that explained that whole process again. Look, these are not all going to be critical issues with the house. We're going to prioritize the things that are issues, things that do need to be addressed, and you'll want to make sure if you're buying a resale that the seller is going to address or take care of. You want to negotiate this stuff, but there's tons of things on here that I'm just pointing out that aren't perfect.
And the good thing about Ashley is that he of course is a very detailed. He is very calm when he tells people. He's going to tell them what's wrong with the house, and then kind of explain. This is what it is, but they can understand that it's not major. I always figure if a house has good bones, everything else is pretty much fixable.
Agreed.
Well, a lot of the times we're governed by TREC, so there's certain
Texas Real Estate Commission too. Everybody out there.
Yes, well, we have to write up certain things, and sometimes a house was built before certain codes were in place, so we can't really expect the upgrades people to make upgrades on something that they bought that was to code at the time that it was.
Yeah, what are the typical things they find? I know, fault interrupters and stuff like that.
A lot of times we have arc fault interrupters are missing. They're in your panel. They're an actual breaker, and they're for protection. They're a safety issue in some cases. They're not mandatory to have in older homes, but we have to write it up as inspectors that they're not in place.
Ashley, I was going to ask you a question. Do you approach a new home different than you do a resale home? No.
Not really. I'd go through my inspection as if every house is the same. I go through and I document the exact same things. I check the exact same things on a brand new house as I would on an existing home or a resale home. Just so I do because I want to make sure that it's a thorough inspection to find anything that's.
And then on a new home, and you're inspecting, what are the typical things that you're finding that are not done correctly?
Sometimes it's mostly things that they have missed, because you can't the builder is out there, they're doing the best job they can, but there's so many people working on this one project. If somebody misses something, that's what I'm usually finding. Like there's little patches that go around on your concrete. There's it's a post-tension slab. Well, they have to be able to put tension on the cable that goes through the slab, and sometimes I'll walk around the house and I find them still exposed. They're supposed to patch them with cement so that they don't rust out. And a lot of times I'll find that they're deficient, or there'll be a broken window because they're doing construction in there. Things happen. Those are typical things that I would find on a new home.
Are you finding in the framing aspect of it that they're doing anything substandard in framing, or have you ever seen anything like that? Because I have seen it in my past. That's why I'm asking that question.
I've seen them. I've gone in and the shear wall hasn't been, the sheathing on the outside of the shear wall hasn't been put in place, or there's been missing braces that should be there, and that's to stop the house from swaying back and forth and for movement, from wind, and that's why they call it a shear wall, because it's a shear wind wall, which will stop help.
And that's typically like a DSB board that's put to the corners at the
Yes.
corners. Isn't that correct?
And another thing that I'm finding too is usually on roofs I find exposed nails. They're either in the field of the shingles or around the vent flashing. That is something that I typically find.
I thought those were installed to discourage squirrels.
And let me tell you, I can tell you one thing for me. I didn't get into real estate till about 10 years ago, but I bought my first home probably about 13, 14 years ago. And typical, new home buyer felt that an inspection on my new home wasn't required. Well, you know what I found out 4 years later? That by me not doing that, I was not my inspector did not find that they did not put the hurricane clips on my home. And because the hurricane clips weren't on there, I started creating a gap in the front of my facade of my home that most people thought was a foundation issue, when it really wasn't a foundation issue. The hurricane clips weren't put on there, and so it started creating a separation. So, the one thing I tell everybody is if you're out there, you're buying a home, whether it be a resale home or a brand new home, let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff that we can't see. Builders build a very good home, but as you mentioned right there, they also use a lot of different labor. They use different crews, different people. They use different subcontractors. They can't catch everything. Your inspector is going to be able to go out there and be the eyes and ears that you do not and cannot see on a day-to-day basis because of what goes on.
Yeah, real quickly, Doug, do you get your people to do inspections on brand new homes?
We try to. A lot of folks don't want to put that expense out, but yeah, we really, really try to.
Yeah, because a lot of people are the same thinking is that why do I need an inspection? It's brand new.
It's mind blowing.
I agree.
That's one of those. I get the not spending money, but it's mind blowing not to invest in the most expensive thing that the average person's ever going to buy that you wouldn't go through having it really checked out.
Ashley, how do we reach you, by the way?
You can set up an appointment with me by calling me. My number's 832-306-3723.
That is awesome. We're coming against a break right now. Again, go look for Ashley on our website, on our Facebook, on our fan page, etc. We definitely want you to use them if you're buying or selling a home and need a good home inspector. In the meantime, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
If this is just the beginning, my life is gonna be.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. Man, we are having a great show. Everything you need to know about buying a new or a resale home, or in words of several other people here, old home.
Used up home.
Used up home right there, yes. I had to say that, Rob. You know me.
Well, you know, a great segue here for the folks we've got coming in today with Abacus, AC and Plumbing, some good friends of mine, and we're going to introduce them in a second. The first home I bought, I had inspected, and one of the things that the inspector found was an issue with the furnace. And it turned into a big deal. It was something that we ended up having to go back and forth on with the seller and get that worked out because it was an expensive find, so to speak. And had we not gone through, and even for that matter, had a good inspector who really did an extremely thorough job, it's something that could have gotten missed, and it would have cost me big down the road. And that's a tremendously valuable aspect, whether it's new or resale, to have that somebody wouldn't spend the money to have a home checked out, thoroughly checked out by somebody that's extremely knowledgeable, somebody that was probably a sponsor of one of the bigger real estate radio shows in town, like the Rat Pack radio show.
We are the largest real estate show in
largest
town,
one
by
in
the way.
Houston.
The biggest real estate radio show in Houston. Thank you very much. So it's a great segue to bringing in our next expert on the show. Let's get introductions here. Who are you guys again? Well, sitting over there,
Abacus in the house.
sitting in the corner over here.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my old friends, Mike here, that I used to go to church with. We played in the church praise and worship team together, and that's where we first got to know each other. And he's a marketing guru like myself, and I actually was reaching out to him for some marketing expertise, and he had moved to a new company, and I didn't even know. And being still the nice guy he is, he spent a lot of time with me. Doing something that he had, no profit in doing other than just helping a friend out. And we got to talking, and I'm like, holy cow, you guys would be perfect to have on the show. The more we started talking, the more he said, man, I've got the perfect guy to bring in the studio. He knows both sides, the AC and the plumbing. He's got expertise in both these areas. Perfect for the show. So
and you
here
went,
we are.
and you went, bam, let's bring Abacus in.
Yes.
So, we actually have Keith Leonard. Keith, how you doing?
Great.
Let us know a little bit about Abacus, if you don't mind.
Well, Abacus is a full-service company that does plumbing and air conditioning, and we are there for every one of your needs. We do maintenance on systems. We also do all the repair and service work and equipment work that you might need for any of those types of services.
And we were talking right now during the break. One of the things people right now are starting to experience, like last week we mentioned, is that maintenance on air conditioning, obviously we're a little bit past the time to get it done, but you can still get it done right now, is start looking in to doing the little things that can make your summer so much more enjoyable versus being a reactive, hey, guess what, I got an issue. Give Abacus a call ahead of time to say, can you just come out and check something out for me? Can you come and give me a refresher or a general maintenance on something so that you don't have to worry about any issues happening in the future?
Absolutely. If you do your maintenance on your products via your heating system or your cooling system or any of your plumbing systems, if you look at them ahead of time and you do the proper maintenance every year that's needed, usually twice a year, you will prolong those different products and those different systems, and you won't have the premature failures that we experience every year, I should say every day at this time of the year with the heat coming on.
Well, I'm sure you're really busy right now, and we were talking earlier before the show is that you actually have something that kind of address that. A lot of people don't want to spend the money in the air conditioner, and it's one of the most expensive systems in the house. And they recommend, I believe, twice a year inspections, and you've actually got a product that's kind of set up to address that, which is a kind of a $99 service. Talk a little bit about that.
It's really a phenomenal program that Abacus put together. It's unlike anybody else in town. It's a $99. It covers whether you have one system or 5 systems on the house. Our technicians that are, certified technicians come out there and look at the system. They spend 45 minutes to an hour on each system. So if you have 3 systems, they're going to probably be there about 3 hours doing a good diagnostic. They're going to look at it in the wintertime, or I should say in the fall time for your furnace needs, and they're going to look at it in the springtime for your AC needs. And when you do that, we give you priority service. We also give you discounts on all of your parts and labor and equipment that you might need that fails. And the greatest part is we're going to look at all the different aspects of those systems to make sure the safety is involved, and also to make sure that your system is working properly. And if something's starting to fail, we can fix it at that time, and you don't have to wait until it does fail and then have to rush to get it taken care of.
And you said something very interesting, Keith, that I was not aware of, that a lot of the manufacturers are now denying claims on warranties because some people did not put it in a maintaining type of program. Is that correct?
Absolutely. If you don't maintain your system and you don't have a good maintenance program, whether it's on the plumbing or the air conditioning side, manufacturers are starting to deny the claims because they want to make sure that you're maintaining it. They don't want you to sit it for 4 or 5 years and then all of a sudden, oops, something went wrrong. Now we have to maintain it.
If anyone's ever had the privilege of spending $5,000 to $10,000 on a new system, knows that now this is truly where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
I absolutely can attest to the whole maintenance aspect. I'm on a maintenance plan for my system at the house, and some stuff here. You're totally going to have to correct me on the lingo and verbiage because I know I know nothing about AC. I accept that. But we bought a good system when it went in, good SEER rating and good warranty and all this sort of thing. And when the maintenance folks came out and said, look, this is where you're at, and on the amperage that's drawing, you have capacitor or something that's a single coil or something along this lines, and it's working fine now, but it's sticking a little bit or something.
Painful to watch you struggle with this, Joe.
Yes, and you'd be better. You would have a better energy drain if you went to a dual
run capacitor.
Yes. Okay. Right. So I roughly had the terms right.
You're there, man. You're there.
Wow. But just from an education standpoint, it was good to know when they were out there and identifying these and isolating costs and that type of thing. Hey, you may have had a good system put in, but they all have pros and cons, and those pros and cons are different depending on markets where you're at, based on the weather and all this sort of thing. And there's different aspects of customizing, if you will, your system so that it performs better in this environment. All things I knew nothing about. So I've kind of gotten these upgrade lists of this is on the radar sooner, this is on the radar later, and it really helped me stay informed on the deal.
But it didn't help him understand what the actual terms meant. Still, by the way,
or
we can write it down.
No, I'd like you to, Keith. I'd like you to dispel some of the myths because some people think, well, we're going to get there. I'm going to get the biggest, baddest air conditioner I can get, and they may not change out the condensing units. Talk about things that match and fit the house.
Most people think bigger is better. Bigger is not always better. We have to match a system up to the tonnage of the system on the air conditioning system to make sure that it fits the square footage of the house. We do things like heat load calculations, make sure that the system is going to be the right size for the house. We need to make sure that you have proper ductwork going through the house so you have the right airflow coming through for good comfort levels. Things of that nature will make it a much better experience for you. If you just come in and start replacing equipment and you don't match the rest of the system up, you're not going to get the comfort level.
Do you? Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say again, selfishly motivated here because I'm the guy with the 78 degrees in the house. In the middle of summer here. Do you guys ever when you're doing an inspection or you're doing your maintenance? Do y'all recommend like replacing ductwork or in older units? Because we got the new matched system, all that sort of thing. But I don't think we replaced the ductwork. Is that kind of a normal thing?
That's the most commonly missed item when it comes to comfort levels in the house. Even new homes, even old homes, as we like to say, the existing homes. Just kidding.
Resale.
Most of the time, your particular system is going to be undersized with the ductwork because a unit has to have a certain amount of air that comes in and has to have the same amount of air coming out. And if they're not matched on the intake side and the export side, you're not going to have a good, comfortable house.
And is that something that you guys check out on your maintenance plan when you get somebody on a maintenance plan? If y'all are looking at the systems to make sure that the ductwork is good?
Sure. When we're out doing an air balance in the house, we do look at the size of your ductwork, make sure that it's the proper size, and if it's not, we'll bring it to your attention. It's just something that's very simple for us to do. It seems very complicated for the homeowner, but for us, we come out there and make it very simple. We explain it. We show you the diagnosis. We show you charts so that way you understand it.
It's a great pickup line, by the way. I like the size of your ductwork, by the way. I think we need some modification.
Oh, my.
Absolutely.
There we go again, the rebels of Christian radio.
I was going to talk about the inspection. Oftentimes, after Ashley would do an inspection, I'll often call an air conditioning person to come in to inspect, because under his license, he can't dismantle that unit. And sometimes you can only say, hey, it's working or it's not working. And then, of course, someone like Keith could come in and take it apart and analyze and do some diagnostics as to what's causing the problem. So, I mean, that's really important. So when you do an inspection, plan on calling out 2 people. And, of course, with the extended warranty companies, they want to see an inspection from an air conditioning company. So
I would
be aware
agree.
of that.
One of the things that happened to me, I'll give you an example, is I when I got my home that I'm in right now, I never get a maintenance plan. I never did any maintenance on my air conditioning. Well, I didn't realize that one of the things I'd been doing is using my downstairs air conditioning a lot more than my upstairs air conditioning. Because of lack of maintenance, and because also I never turned on my upstairs air conditioning, I blew out my downstairs air conditioning. Speaking about not being covered on any warranty, it's not fun to have to get a phone call, call Abacus and say, hey, can you come out and see? I think I need a maintenance work. They say, you don't need maintenance work. Your system is busted.
Dead on arrival.
That is correct. So, that's one of the things that we look at, and I tell everybody is if you're out there right now and you need to get some good information, you want to get some maintenance done, you're struggling with any air conditioning, plumbing, ductwork, etc., you need to give Abacus a call. How can we reach you, by the way?
You can call us at the office, or you can use us on the internet. Our online is abacusplumbingac.com, or you can call us at our main line at the 713-812-7070.
713-812-7070. Get out there, look up Abacus. They are a great company, great individuals. More importantly it's a great tool to have out there if you want to get out there and, as you mentioned, get something serviced, especially with your air conditioning that you've got. We are going to be coming up against time again.
How does this happen
time
every
flies
week?
when you're having fun. You remember, look us up online on Facebook at Real Estate Rat Pack. And until next time, have a great weekend. We will speak with you soon.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.